Just 2 legislative days left until the government shuts down. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer standing firm on health care demands in a stopgap funding bill. A reminder, Schumer drew backlash for siding with the Republicans in March to keep the government open. Now this as the Senate rejected both the House-passed short-term government funding bill and the Democrats' counteroffer. This puts Washington on the path to a shutdown October 1st. I want to bring in Florida Congresswoman Cammack. Congresswoman, good morning to you. And President Trump is predicting a shutdown due to the funding impasse in the Senate. Your colleague, Congressman Ryan Zinke, just told me earlier in the program he sees a shutdown too, but he says a, quote, short one. What do you see?
Well, at the end of the day, what it comes down to is the Democrats want to shut down the government so they can give $40 billion to insurance companies. That's what this comes down to. They don't want to put more money in people's pockets. Of course not. Their agenda has always been about dependency and control. And so that what they want to do is subsidize insurance companies, and companies, by the way, that have made 230% increase in profits, and while steadily declining claims, 32% of all claims for insurance companies are denied. So really, who are they standing for? It seems like the Democrats are more concerned with lining their pockets than they are looking out for the American people, and they're willing to shut down the government as a result. So I anticipate that they need something to dig in on. They've already kind of crossed the Rubicon, so to speak, on this. So I anticipate we will see a government shutdown, but it's simply because the Democrats want to subsidize their buddies in big insurance.
What kind of shutdown are we talking then, in your opinion? You know, the longest one to date in our nation's history was 35 days. 800,000 federal workers were furloughed, but there, of course, is a move to make sure, and Congressman Huizenga was on with us earlier, and he said, you know, look, here's the amendment, I'm putting it there now, that we still have ICE and Border Patrol agents paid. The military is another example of those that lose paychecks. There's political risk, I would think, on both sides for a shutdown, because then you have to go home to your district, I don't know about yours, but others, and they're going to have to be dealing with these federal workers in revolt because they're not getting paid.
Well, that's the thing that has always really bothered me is Washington treats everyday Americans as though they're stupid, and Americans are not dumb. They understand that this is all political theater. What we know now, after all of these years of these back and forth government shutdowns and threats of shutdowns, is that Social Security checks still go out the door because they're classified as mandatory spending. So the fear mongering that people won't receive their Social Security, that's a lie. The one thing that we need to do, that we have pushed for, is Republicans want to protect our national security. So we have introduced, and Jen Kiggins from Virginia has been leading this effort, a bill to make sure that military gets paid and Homeland Security gets paid during a shutdown. Now, of course, every federal worker in every single government shutdown has received back pay. Yeah. So essentially, it's kind of like a paid vacation of sorts, because everyone always gets back pay. But it's not good for the long-term certainty of our nation. And again, it's just political games and theater that ultimately ends up hurting people in the short term and furthers the divide in the country. So I think it would be a short-term shutdown because Democrats recognize that they're not playing with the same old GOP of yesterday. This is Donald Trump's America, and he is not scared to take the fight to every single media platform across the country and explain directly to the people what is really going on. Legacy media no longer controls the narrative that Democrats are the heroes. We are going to take this fight on because we're not going to continue to garnish the wages of our children by spending us into oblivion on top of the $37 trillion in debt that we currently have. So I think that this is a fight that the president is willing to have. We'll avoid it at all costs, but not at the expense of people's paychecks and their pocketbooks.
Well, because the Democrats want, you know, they're asking for $1 trillion. And we've already seen the effects that the debt and deficits of this nation have had on not just the economy, but the stock market. And people are saying, you know, cut spending, not add another $1 trillion, to your point. We'll see. President Trump says he's open to talking to Senator Schumer and Congressman Jeffries, and that's what they're demanding. They want a meeting with President Trump at the White House, so we'll see if that goes anywhere. It probably will. But let me move on to this, because we've also got big news today. President Trump is revealing a major breakthrough on autism today. He teased ahead of it yesterday. He's saying this is one of the most important news conferences he's ever going to have. Watch.
have one of the biggest announcements, really medically, I think, in the history of our country. I think we found an answer to autism. How about that? We're going to be talking in the Oval Office in the White House about autism, how it happens. 20 years ago, 1 in 10,000 were born with autism. 20 years ago. The most recent survey says 1 in 12. Because obviously there was something really wrong, and we think we know what that is. It's going to be, I think it's going to be one of the most important news conferences I'll ever have.
So the administration reportedly is going to draw a link between autism and the use of Tylenol during pregnancy. The parent company of Tylenol, Kenvue, they say no. They say we believe independent sound science clearly shows that taking acetaminophen does not cause autism. We strongly disagree with any suggestion otherwise and are deeply concerned with the health risk this poses for expecting mothers, Congresswoman. And just to pick up on what the Washington Post is reporting this morning, they're saying that that the recommendation will be if you have a fever and you're pregnant, then take Tylenol, but they're also going to recommend another medication, lesser known, leucovorin, as a treatment if pregnant women are in pain. What is your reaction to this and what we're expecting?
Well, one of the things that I constantly get annoyed at is members of Congress or even social media influencers who think that they're an MD and a lawyer and a constitutional expert from one day to the next. So I'm not even going to pretend that I know the science behind it. But that speaks to the reason why we need more engagement on this issue. You see that the Trump administration is reviewing the childhood vaccine schedule, and that's long overdue. We have a lot of questions that have been rightfully asked here in the last few years. This is one of them. Why 20 years ago was it 1 in 10,000, and today you heard the president say it's 1 in 12. As a new mom with a 5-week-old, I can't tell you the fears that I have of what we're facing with all the uncertainty and the information that is out there that is contradictory. When you look at the journals, the academic studies and the scientific journals, they have really turned into a pay-to-play apparatus, which doesn't focus on good science and producing outcomes and proving the outcomes. It becomes a pay-to-play situation. So I think Secretary Kennedy, President Trump, they're right to look at these situations because it is absolutely terrifying for families who are having children. And they're saying, well, what is safe now? We don't know. And so this is what we should have been doing all along, continuing to question the science, look for the data that is true instead of looking at these journals that we know have issues and looking to these studies that are absolutely faulty.
Well, and by the way, I haven't told you congratulations. I know that you are a new mother, but it's such an important topic for mothers out there about what to give and not to give a newborn. Sometimes maybe some of these shots shouldn't be given to kids when they're 4 months or younger. And I think that's been an interesting conversation. But real quick, Mount Sinai and Harvard did come up in August, and they did a review, and they say there is a possible link between Tylenol early on in pregnancy. So
absolutely,
maybe this is where we're going to go.
I will say this, Cheryl, I've had countless conversations with our Secretary of NIH, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, and one of the things that he and I both agree on is that we have to prove replicability in these studies, because right now you don't, and most people don't recognize that. You get a study, it's published, and then it becomes public health guidance through the CDC. If you can't prove replicability in your scientific study and in clinical trials, you shouldn't be able to adopt it as public health policy. And this is a recommendation that's been out there for years, for decades. Now, of course, my question on the vaccines is, if they're also safe, why after 30 years do these companies still have immunity? No one can answer that question. And I think parents are waking up and starting to ask these questions, and they have absolutely every right to do so, especially when it comes to their kids. So instead of playing politics with people's lives, I think we need to get back to the science and start really digging into how can we prove replicability? How can we prove safety? And that starts with transparency. So I commend the Trump administration for taking this on. Long overdue, and it's turned into something that every family is now concerned about.
Congresswoman Cammack, thank you so much for being here. This is something you've spoken about before. I'm glad you were here today. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Cheryl. Have a good one.